Okay?
Learning, but Baruch Hashem is very. That Baruch Hashem, we're all able to be here today. A few weeks ago, we weren't. They got together because they were looking for ways to nullify a decree that was going to impact Yiddishkeit, the learning of Torah, Kiyum HaMitzvahs, and so on. So they got together. It was an Asifa Chashois, it was a quiet, secret get-together. And all of these people got together and they were looking for ways to be able to nullify this decree. After the meeting was over, the Rebbe Rashab turned to the crowd and he said to them, I'm going back to my hotel. I would like to invite you to my hotel. And they joined the Rebbe Rashab. While they were sitting and having a fabrengen, the Rebbe Rashab was talking about a cheshbon hanefesh. A cheshbon hanefesh that every Yid makes at the end of every day when he learns Krishna Shal Hamita. How did my day go? And he turns to one of the most prominent lawyers by the name of Schlesinger, and he says to him, Schlesinger, you are a lawyer. And by profession, Schlesinger was a lawyer who used to defend people who were sentenced to death. That was his profession. So he turns to Schlesinger and the Rebbe Rashab says to him, what kind of a cheshbon hanefesh do you make at the end of each day? What is your cheshbon hanefesh? Schlesinger thinks for a moment and he says, well, at the end of each day, I take a look and I see how many people did I save? How many people would have been condemned to die? And how many did I save? Rebbe Rashab says to him, that is not the ultimate cheshbon hanefesh. The ultimate cheshbon hanefesh is, how many more were you able to save? So at the end of the day, your cheshbon hanefesh is, I saved so many and so many. How many more could I have saved? And the Rebbe Rashab continues. It takes you between 2 and 3 hours to put together a case to save someone. And there are 24 hours in a day. You saved so many people, how many more were you able to save? And that is the cheshbon hanefesh, that is the correct cheshbon hanefesh that needs to be made. And this is the cheshbon hanefesh that we make every day and should make every day. Well, my day went quite well. Talmidim, my learning was okay, my davening was fine. Okay, we'll move on to the next day and do the same. The Rebbe Rashab, the Meyasid of Tenchei Temimim says, no, that's not the ultimate cheshbon hanefesh. The ultimate cheshbon hanefesh is, my day today was okay, but how can I make tomorrow even better? What else can I add? What else can I add to my day so that my day will be more successful? So if today it took me to daven Shemona Esrei 3 minutes, let me add another minute to my Shemona Esrei and have more kavanah in Pirush HaMilos. If my davening took so long, let me add another 30 seconds to my davening, or a minute, or 2 minutes. You'll be surprised what those 2 minutes can do. And the same thing goes for learning, and the same thing goes to social interaction, Ahavas Yisrael, and so on. So now that you boys are finishing Kita Ches, you're also making a cheshbon. So how did my year go? And how did the past few years go? And I'm sure that all of you are going to come up with a fairly good cheshbon hanefesh. I learned so much Gemara, I learned so much Chassidus, I learned so much Chumash, I learned and daven, and then all the wonderful things. But the real cheshbon hanefesh is, how much more can I do? And how much more can I add so that as I move into Mesivta, I will take with me a certain commitment to reset myself, not to be happy with what took place in elementary school, but to take a leap, take a jump, and to add to what you boys already are, and you are truly an emes and nachas to us and to your parents. And that's why we are giving you the bracha to succeed in your commitment as you move on to Mesivta. You know, boys, you know why you need to add more? Because the choshech is also adding more. The darkness adds, and if we don't keep up with that, and we add in oyer, in kedusha, then there could be a situation where we start to regress, and we don't want to go there. So our cheshbon hanefesh needs to be to constantly add and add more. There's a very heilig tzaddik, his name was Rabbi Menachem Mendel Merimenov. He once said, it says in the Chumash, Eile Toldos Yaakov Yosef. Of course, the pasuk continues, Yosef ben Sheva Esrei Shana. So he said, Eile Toldos Yaakov. These are the children of Yaakov, Yosef. Yaakov refers to Klal Yisrael as a Yid finds himself in the level of Yaakov, involved in the world, doing all sorts of good things. Eile Toldos Yaakov. You know how Yaakov, you know how a Yid is able to maintain strength, productivity, and everything that goes about success? Yosef. You need to add. You always have to add something. It's not enough what I did yesterday. Tomorrow won't be enough what I did today. And next year will not be enough what you boys have done in previous years. And you know, as this week we're going to get together on Gimel Tammuz. Gimel Tammuz is our hiskashrus to the Rebbe. That's what Gimel Tammuz does. It reorients us and it reconnects us. Every sikha that the Rebbe spoke, everything that the Rebbe said, and the Hayrah from this is, from this we could learn, and then the Rebbe would continue what the Hayrah is. Let us learn from our Rebbe what it means to be moisif, to add, and to connect. And in this way, boys, you will be successful, because you will always be ahead of the game. You're always going to be focused on what can I do more, what can I add to be more and more successful, to bring nachas to your parents, bring nachas to the Rebbe, bring nachas to your melamdim, your Rosh Yeshivas, and nachas to Klal Yisrael.
And Rabbi Simpson spoke the importance of adding in Torah, adding in davening. There are 3 Talmidim that took it upon themselves this year to complete the entire Maseches Makos, together with the Rebbe, Rabbi Kramer, spending time on his own, learning with them, and making sure that they can complete the entire Masechta. We have 3 Talmidim, Itchy Hershkop, Mendel Horowitz, and Chaim Schechter. Going to ask and Menachem Karasik, who is 4. Okay. On behalf of those 4, we're going to ask Chaim Schechter to come up and make the siyum.
At the end of Maseches Makos, it brings 2 stories. The first one is that once Rabbi Akiva was walking with other Chachamim, and they heard the sound of the Romans partying from 120 mil away. So the Chachamim started crying. However, Rabbi Akiva was laughing. The Chachamim asked Rabbi Akiva, "Why are you laughing?" He in return asked the Chachamim, "Why are you crying?" The Chachamim answered, "Because those who serve Avodah Zarah and Arashayim are living peacefully while our Beis Hamikdash is burning." Rabbi Akiva said, "This is why I'm laughing, because if the Rishayim are rewarded For sure, those who do the mitzvahs will be rewarded. A second story happened after the Churban Beis Hamikdash, where these same Chacham and Rabbi Akiva were walking on the road, and they all tore their clothing. Then, after that, they went to the Har Habayis, and they saw a fox walking out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And again, the Chacham cried, and Rabbi Akiva laughed. So they asked Rabbi Akiva, "Why are you laughing?" And Rabbi Akiva asked them, "Why are you crying?" The Chacham answered, "Because the pasuk says that if a Yisrael walks into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, he will pass away. Now, a fox could go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, for sure we're going to cry." Rabbi Akiva then explained why he was laughing. If the nevuah that Yerushalayim will be plowed on was fulfilled, for sure the nevuah of its rebuilding will be fulfilled. The Chacham then said, "Rabbi Akiva has comforted us, Rabbi Akiva has comforted us." We have two questions. The first question is, what was Rabbi Akiva's question on why the Chacham were crying? Of course they'll cry, it's obvious. Especially if Rabbi Akiva himself teared his clothing. And the second question is, why in the nevuah of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash does it specifically use the wording of it being plowed over? So the answer to the first question, which was why did Rabbi Akiva ask why they were crying, is because Rabbi Akiva's question really was, if the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, why are you only crying when you saw the fox and when you saw and when you heard the Romans partying and not earlier? So the Chacham responded that if the Romans are partying and we can hear them from 120 mil away, and the fox come out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, we didn't know it was so bad. So that's why we were crying. Now the answer to the second question, which was why in the nevuah of the destruction of Yerushalayim does it use the wording of being plowed over, is because when I plow a field, I'm plowing it so I can plant a tree there and make the field better. So the only reason when the second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, it was like it was being plowed over so we could rebuild the third Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, the Chacham said, Rabbi Akiva has comforted us, because they saw how the Churban is really the comforting part of the Geula. This is why Rabbi Akiva laughed and not anyone else, because Rabbi Akiva was a Ben Gerim and he only started learning at 40, which is the idea of turning darkness into light. Even though the lesson is, even though we're in Golus right now and it's darkest and latest point, it doesn't mean we should wait until Mashiach. No, we have to bring the light into the darkness and bring Mashiach down. I'll now do the scene. Until the nevuah of Oriah wasn't fulfilled, I was afraid that the nevuah of the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash wouldn't be fulfilled. Now that the nevuah of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash was fulfilled, now I know that the nevuah of its rebuilding will be fulfilled. When the Chacham said in this lashon to Rabbi Akiva these words, Akiva nechamtanu, Akiva nechamtanu. Akiva, you comfort us, Akiva, you comfort us. We will turn to you Elon alike and Mesachas Malkus conclude.
On behalf of all his Chaverim, Yitzchak Tzvi Hafter.
In this week's Parsha, we learn about Korach's rebellion against Moshe Rabbeinu. As we all know, Korach, of course, wanted to be Kohen Gadol like Aaron HaKohen, and he got 250 people, Yidden, from all the Yidden joined him in bringing Karbanis to Beis Hamikdash without permission. Hashem, of course, had to punish them. And Yehuda opened up, swapped Kairach, of course, Dosan and Abiram, and all their families. The Rebbe asks, if Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader of the Yidden, and he was the one who taught the Yidden Torah, why does the whole Parsha have to be named after Kairach? Or even a better question, why do we have this whole story with Kairach? To just have the story with the arguments, okay, fine. But to name an entire Parsha after Kairach, why do we need to do that? And the Rebbe answers in a way that we can see, that Torah can see challenges in this world. Yes, Kairach had a lot of arguments, and he even got other people to argue against Moshe. But what happened in the end of this whole argument? What happened at the end of this week's Parsha? It says that the Kohanim and the Leviim received all the beautiful gifts that he got as being Kohanim and Leviim. And they reaffirmed the real reality of what it means to be a Kohen and a Levi, and of course their gifts. So in the end, Kairach realized that they got these gifts because this is who they were and they were meant to be. They were meant to be Kohanim and Leviim, and these were their gifts. The lesson from this whole story is, this whole Parsha, how do we overcome challenges in our life? Of course, every person has talents, and then there's talents that sometimes don't come out right. It's not perfect. So just like by Kairach, when he realized that every Yid was created in a way that this is what they are meant to be, our challenges in life were put in us for a greater purpose. They aren't just here because you're bad. No, sure, you have bad challenges, but it's only here to bring out the good. When we realize that we were created in such a way because this is how we are like and this is how we're meant to be, and we ignore all the other comments that people might give us, then we overcome our thoughts, and in the end, everything will be good. Not only that, Hashem will give us many brothers, like the Kohanim receiving the gifts. Now for acknowledgements. Of course, it's already mentioned, but it's always good to mention. Very often, mitzvahs are easy to fulfill. Of course, mitzvahs are always often easy. But sometimes, mitzvahs can often be very hard. Like, you don't know how to do it. Sometimes it starts. It's not easy. And often we ask for help. And, for example, mezuzah. Of course, the simple part is that we put it up on our doorpost and we kiss it. But then there's a hard part, like the ksav. And we have to ask a sefer to write out the ksav. And after someone helps us do a mitzvah, we have to have a kar satayv for what they've done. Of course, one of the ways is thanking them. For some 11 years, including kindergarten for those who were not everyone was here for many years, staff, Taichit, Mimin, Babich, Granite, Bach Yeshiva, have looked after each and every one of us Talmidim, make sure we grow in a real Hasidic atmosphere, in a Hasidic way. And everyone, all the staff, of course, deserve a real Yasher Koyach for all their efforts, tireless efforts. First and foremost, of course, I'd like to thank the Manal of the entire Yeshiva, Rabbi Simpson, for his tireless effort and dedication to each and every one of us for many years, And then, of course, we would like to thank principals, Rabbi Wolf and Rabbi Yonstafer, for putting all of the effort in helping us grow in Torah and mitzvahs. Then, of course, I'd like to thank the Rabbeim of Kita Ches this year. And of course, I'd like to give a big Yasher Koyach to my Rebbe, Rabbi Sobel. He made my Rebbe this year and helping me grow much, much more in Yiddishkeit. And of course, I'd like to thank Rabbi Kramer and Rabbi Eunice for also teaching with their classes. And actually, I did come to your classes on Zoom. And as it says, may the fruits of your labor continue to sprout. And that's exactly what should continue with all the principals, the Rebbe's, and staff. Then, a big, overwhelming Yasher Koyach to all my friends, classmates, for giving me all the chayas I need for learning, have helped me get to the level that I am. If not for you, I actually would have not. Both me and you would have not been on real great heights. And of course, one more Yasher Koyach to all the other extra staff of the yeshiva. Take a while to mention their names, but of course they know who they are. Okay, on a closing note, I'd like to end off my Dvar Torah speech with a bracha to every Talmud here today. Give each every one of you bracha. They should continue to grow. Chayil, v'chayil. They should continue to be great Hasidim, great Yerush Shemayim, and you should continue to become great Mandanim, and continue to give more nachas, much extra nachas to your parents, your rebbeim, principals, and friends around you. Of course, very soon we'll all be going out. We'll be starting our biggest shlichus of our life, which is, of course, the shlichus of learning Torah and spreading Yiddishkeit much more than we did when we were in yeshiva. And like it says, every businessman always requires an investment. Us children, as we say here, us Bakrim, as of now, we will become that investment. And that investment will last generations to come. And may we be Zeichem, in the Yola, Mitzvah Shlema, we will greet the Rebbe, and we will march out to Golis with Shiach Tzidkenu and Mehera Yemenu.